6 months, that's all it takes to change everything, not 6 years. Not someday when life feels easier. Just 6 months of focused, deliberate living can turn your current situation into a success story you'll be proud to tell. Think about it, 6 months from today, you could be walking into a better job, looking at a healthier body in the mirror, or living with a confidence that makes people ask, "What happened to you?" The truth is, transformation doesn't come to the lucky, it comes to the intentional. And the first move you must make before any strategy, before any action plan, before any late nights and early mornings is to get crystal clear about what you truly want. Without clarity, effort is scattered. Without clarity, energy is wasted. Without clarity, your next 6 months will look just like your last 6 months. But with clarity, your life starts taking shape in ways you never thought possible. CLRIT first step, clarity is the seed from which success grows. You cannot hit a target you cannot see, and you cannot build a life you have not envisioned. Most people drift through their days with a vague sense of wanting more, but they never define what more means. They talk about wanting to be successful, but they can't tell you exactly what success would look like in their life. That's why they stay stuck, because a vague goal produces vague action, and vague action produces vague results. When you decide to transform your life in 6 months, the first thing you must do is stop and ask yourself, what exactly am I aiming for? And I don't mean a fuzzy answer like, I want to be better, or I want to be happier. I mean an answer so specific that if I saw you 6 months from now, I could measure whether you achieved it. If your goal is financial, name the number. If it's health related, define the weight, the strength, or the endurance you want. If it's a personal growth goal, describe the skills you'll have, the habits you'll practice, or the way you'll carry yourself. Here's why specificity matters. Your mind works like a GPS. If you punch in, "Take me somewhere nice," you're not going to arrive at the place you imagine. But if you punch in an exact location, your GPS will find a route to get you there. And it will even reroute you if you get off track. Your mind does the same thing with clear goals. The moment you lock in a specific destination, your brain begins looking for opportunities, resources, and connections that will get you there. It's not magic, it's focus. Too many people say they don't know what they want, but the truth is, they haven't taken the time to sit down in silence and dig deep. They're afraid to define their dream, because if they name it, they'll have to face the fact that they're not there yet. But friend, naming your dream is not admitting defeat, it's starting the fight. The moment you put a name on what you want, you take control of your future instead of letting life happen to you. I want you to grab a notebook today, not tomorrow, and write down your top 3 goals for the next 6 months. Don't just write, get fit. Write, lose 20 pounds and be able to run 3 miles without stopping. Don't just write, make more money. Write, earn an extra $10,000 in the next 6 months through my business or side hustle. The more detail you add, the more real your goal becomes. And once it's real, your mind will start working on ways to get you there, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. Clarity also brings urgency. If you don't define a goal, there's no pressure to act. But when you see the exact target and the ticking clock of a 6-month deadline, something inside you changes. You start weighing your daily choices differently. Suddenly, that extra hour of sleep might not feel worth more than an hour of progress. That mindless scrolling might not seem as satisfying as making one more step toward your target. When you're clear about what you want, your no to distractions becomes stronger because you have a bigger yes driving you. And let me tell you, clarity doesn't just give you direction, it gives you confidence. When someone asks what you're working on, you won't have to mumble something vague. You'll stand tall and say, I'm on a 6-month plan to achieve this, and here's exactly how I'm doing it. People respect decisiveness. Opportunities open for those who know where they're going, because others want to get behind someone with vision. 6 months from now, you'll either look back and say, I wish I started, or you'll say, I'm so glad I got clear. The choice to define your goal is the choice to begin. Without it, nothing else we talk about will matter. With it, everything else will fall into place. Once you are clear about what you want, the next step is to translate that vision into daily action. Because clarity without action is just daydreaming. You can have the most detailed goal in the world, but if your habits don't align with it, it will remain a beautiful thought that never becomes your reality. And here's where many people stumble. They get inspired, They feel the fire for a few days and then they wait for motivation to keep them going. But motivation is like a spark. It can ignite a fire, but it won't keep it burning. What keeps the fire alive is daily discipline. Daily discipline is the bridge between your present and your future. It's not about doing something spectacular once in a while. It's about doing the right things consistently, even when they feel small or insignificant. Think about it. A single workout doesn't transform your body, but 100 workouts over months will. One day of focused work doesn't build a career, but consistent effort every day creates opportunities and momentum you couldn't have imagined at the start. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't usually feel exciting in the moment, but it is the hidden power behind every success story you admire. We live in a culture that celebrates big wins and ignores the small steps it took to get there. We see the athlete holding the trophy, but not the years of early mornings and relentless training. We applaud the entrepreneur's breakthrough, but not the endless hours spent learning, failing, and trying again. If you want to transform your life in 6 months, you have to embrace the truth your success will be built in the quiet, ordinary moments when no one is watching. And those moments require discipline. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It means getting up early to work on your goals before the rest of the world demands your attention. It means saying no to short-term pleasures that steal time from long-term rewards. It means showing up for yourself every single day, even on the days you feel tired, uninspired, or unsure. In fact, those are the most important days to stay disciplined. Because if you can push through when it's hard, you prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your emotions. Now, here's something important. Discipline is not about perfection. It's not about never missing a day or never making a mistake. It's about building a pattern of consistency that becomes your default way of living. If you miss a day, you don't let it spiral into a week of inaction. You get back on track immediately. The power of discipline is in the long run, not in flawless execution. Over 6 months, the person who shows up 80% of the time will be miles ahead of the person who only works when they feel inspired. One of the best ways to strengthen your discipline is to anchor it to your vision. Every time you're tempted to skip a step, remind yourself of the specific goal you set in point 1. Picture the outcome in vivid detail, how it will feel, what it will change in your life, the pride you'll have in knowing you stuck with it. When the why is strong, the how becomes easier. And here's another truth discipline compounds. At first, it feels like effort with little reward. You'll be putting in hours, making sacrifices, and seeing only small changes. But over time, the habits you build start working for you instead of against you. Your body adapts, your skills grow, your efficiency improves, and the things that once felt hard become second nature. Before you know it, you're not forcing yourself to stay disciplined. You've become the kind of person who naturally follows through. 6 months from now, the results you see will not be the product of 1 or 2 massive bursts of effort. They will be the product of hundreds of small, disciplined choices compounded over time. Every day you commit to discipline, you are casting a vote for the future you want. And each vote matters. IGMNT. You can have the clearest vision in the world and the most disciplined daily habits. But if your mindset is out of alignment with your goals, you'll constantly sabotage yourself without even realizing it. Your thoughts are the foundation upon which every action is built. And if those thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, or limitation, they will quietly undermine every step you take. That's why aligning your mindset with your desired outcome is not optional. It is essential. Every single achievement in history was first born as a thought. Before the bridge was built, someone believed it could be done. Before the company was created, someone believed it could succeed. Before the body was transformed, someone believed change was possible. Your mind is the soil and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant seeds of self-belief, possibility, and resilience, they will grow into actions that lead to success. But if you plant seeds of doubt, defeat, and I can't, they will grow into excuses and missed opportunities. Mindset alignment begins with becoming aware of the internal conversation you have with yourself every single day. Many people speak more negatively to themselves than they ever would to another person. They say, "I'm not smart enough. I've failed too many times. I don't have what it takes." And the more they repeat those words, the more they believe them. But the same principle works in reverse. When you intentionally speak life, strength, and possibility into your thoughts, your actions rise to match your words. This is why it's so important to train your mind to expect progress instead of defeat. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about shaping the way you respond to reality. Challenges will come in the next 6 months. That's not a possibility, it's a guarantee. But your mindset determines whether those challenges become roadblocks or stepping stones. When your mind is aligned with your goal, setbacks don't feel like proof that you can't succeed. They feel like part of the process. You don't say, "Why is this happening to me?" You say, "This is shaping me for what I asked for." The one powerful way to align your mindset is through visualization. Every day, take a few minutes to close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself living the result you're working toward. See the details, how it looks, how it feels, what you're wearing, who's around you. The more clearly you can picture your success, the more your brain begins to accept it as a possibility and then as an inevitability. This isn't wishful thinking, it's mental conditioning. Athletes, performers, and leaders use it to train their minds to act as if the goal is already within reach. Another key element of mindset alignment is protecting your environment, because your mind will always be influenced by what you feed it. If you surround yourself with negative voices, constant bad news, and people who scoff at your goals, it will erode your belief over time. But if you intentionally fill your mind with inspiring books, uplifting conversations, and people who encourage your growth, you'll strengthen the mental muscles that keep you moving forward. The right environment doesn't just support your mindset, it reinforces it when your own belief feels shaky. And here's something most people overlook: mindset alignment is not just about positive thinking, it's about identity. You must see yourself as the kind of person who achieves the goal you're pursuing. If you don't believe you are capable, worthy, or ready, you will find ways to avoid taking the actions that would prove otherwise. This is why you must practice stepping into that identity now, before the results arrive. Act like the person who has already reached the goal. Think like them. Make decisions like them. When your identity shifts, your behavior naturally follows. When your mindset is aligned, discipline becomes easier because you're no longer forcing yourself to take action. You're acting in harmony with who you believe you are. And when that happens, your 6-month plan stops feeling like an uphill battle and starts feeling like the natural path you were meant to walk. Stage ECPING clarity gives you the target, discipline drives you forward, and mindset keeps you believing. But without a plan, even the most passionate dreamer will wander in circles. Strategic planning is the process of taking that 6-month vision and breaking it down into steps so precise that you know exactly what you should be doing every single day. It's where your big dream stops being an abstract idea and becomes a series of tangible, achievable actions. Without strategy, effort can be wasted in the wrong direction. With it, every move you make pushes you closer to your destination. Too often, people set a goal and think sheer willpower will carry them there. They believe that if they just work hard, somehow everything will fall into place. But working hard without a plan is like running a marathon without a map. You might be moving, but you could be heading in the wrong direction. Strategic planning makes sure your energy is invested where it counts. It's about working smarter, not just harder. When you're creating a 6-month success plan, start by reverse engineering your goal. Picture yourself at the end of 6 months having achieved exactly what you set out to do. Now ask yourself, what had to happen for me to get here? Work backward. Month by month, if your goal is to earn an extra 12,000, that's 2,100 per month. What needs to happen each month to make that possible? If your goal is to lose 30 pounds, that's roughly 5 pounds per month. What changes in your diet, exercise, and daily habits will make that a reality? Once you have your monthly milestones, break them down further into weekly targets. This is where the plan starts to feel achievable. If your monthly goal is to write 20,000 words for a book, your weekly target might be 5,000 words. If your monthly target is to save $2,000, your weekly focus might be 500 in savings or income generation. By chunking big goals into smaller, measurable steps, you create a clear path forward, and you remove the overwhelm that can paralyze so many people before they even start. Strategic planning also means building in systems that keep you on track. It's not enough to write down your targets, you need a structure that supports them. This could mean scheduling specific times for your tasks, using productivity tools to track progress, or setting reminders so nothing slips through the cracks. It might also mean setting boundaries around your time so you're not constantly pulled away by distractions or other people's priorities. One of the most powerful benefits of a solid plan is that it makes decision-making easier. When you have a clear roadmap, you don't waste mental energy wondering what to do next. You simply follow the next step in the plan. This prevents the frustration of feeling busy but not productive. Every task has a purpose, and every action moves you closer to your goal. But strategic planning isn't just about structure, it's also about flexibility. Life will throw curveballs in the next 6 months, and a rigid plan can snap under pressure. That's why your strategy must have room to adapt. If one approach isn't working, you don't abandon the goal. You adjust the method, you shift the timeline, try a new tactic, or redistribute your efforts, but you never lose sight of the destination. Another often overlooked element of strategic planning is accountability. Share your plan with someone who will hold you to it, not to shame you, but to remind you of your commitment when your own motivation wavers. This could be a mentor, a friend, or even a community of people working towards similar goals. When you know someone else is watching your progress, you're less likely to let excuses win. When you combine clarity, discipline, and mindset with a detailed, adaptable plan, your 6-month vision stops being a distant dream and starts feeling like a clear, inevitable outcome. You're no longer just hoping for change, you're orchestrating it. Every week has a purpose, every action is a building block, and every day feels like a step toward the life you've decided to create. Once you have a clear plan in place, the next challenge is protecting your focus like it's the most valuable possession you own, because it is. Focus is the fuel that turns your plan into reality, and without it, even the most carefully crafted strategy will lose momentum. In the world we live in today, distraction isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's the #1 killer of progress. The moment you decide to work on your 6-month transformation, the world will offer you 1,000 ways to look away from your goal. Your phone will light up, social media will pull at your attention, endless entertainment will be one click away, and people will constantly invite you into their emergencies and agendas. If you don't learn to guard your focus, your dream will be stolen in minutes each day, until you realize half a year has passed and nothing has changed. Focus is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most, without letting the noise drown out your priorities. It's being able to shut out everything that does not contribute to the future you're building. When you decide to focus, you're not just saying yes to your goal, you're also saying no to distractions, temptations, and unnecessary commitments. And here's the truth, those no's are often harder than the work itself. Saying yes to the gym is easy, saying no to the couch is the real test. Saying yes to building your business feels exciting, saying no to mindless scrolling is where the battle is won or lost. One of the most effective ways to strengthen your focus is to create an environment where distractions are minimized before they even reach you. If your phone is the #1 thief of your time, put it in another room during your work sessions. If television or gaming eats into your evenings, set a rule that you won't turn on the screen until you've completed the tasks that move you closer to your goal. If certain people constantly derail your progress with negativity or drama, set boundaries that protect your mental and emotional energy. Your environment should be designed for success, not temptation. Another key to maintaining focus is to work in defined, intentional blocks of time. Don't just tell yourself, "I'll work on my goal today." Decide exactly when and for how long. During that block, eliminate every possible distraction and commit fully to the task. You'd be amazed how much progress you can make in a focused hour compared to a distracted afternoon. This is where discipline meets structure. Focus isn't just about willpower, it's about creating conditions that make success easier than failure. But focus isn't only about removing distractions, it's also about choosing the right priorities. Not every task is equally important. If you spend your time on low-impact activities, you'll stay busy but not move forward. This is where you must constantly ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now the most important thing I could be doing for my goal? If the answer is no, adjust immediately. High achievers don't just work hard, they work on the right things at the right time. And remember, focus is also a mental muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. At first, you might find your mind wandering every few minutes. That's normal. But with practice, you'll find it easier to stay locked in for longer periods. Over weeks and months, your ability to stay in the zone will grow, and with it, your results will multiply. Eliminating distractions is not about living a joyless, rigid life. It's about creating space for the things that matter most. Every distraction you remove gives you back minutes, hours, and eventually days you can invest in building the future you want. And when you think about it, the choice becomes simple: give your focus to your goal or give it to something that will not matter 6 months from now. One leads to transformation, the other leads to regret. You can have clarity, discipline, the right mindset, a well-structured plan, and laser focus. But if you don't have faith in the process, you will be tempted to quit before your results have a chance to show up. Faith is the glue that holds all your efforts together when you're in the middle of the journey and you can't yet see the finish line. It's the inner conviction that what you're doing will work, even if there's no visible evidence yet. And in a 6-month transformation, this is often the hardest part, because for a while, you'll be putting in the work without seeing the reward. Most people love the beginning of a goal. The first week feels exciting, the possibilities feel endless, and the vision feels alive. But somewhere around the 2nd month, the emotional high fades. The daily grind sets in. You're eating the right foods, but the scale barely moves. You're making calls in your business, but the sales are slow. You're practicing the new skill, but you still make mistakes. This is the critical moment where many people walk away, not because the plan doesn't work, but because they didn't have the faith to stay long enough to see it work. Faith in the process means trusting the seeds you're planting, even when the soil looks empty. Imagine a farmer who plants seeds on Monday and expects a harvest by Friday. When it doesn't come, he digs up the ground to see if the seeds are growing, and in doing so, he destroys the very thing he was waiting for. That's what so many people do with their goals. They plant, they water, and then they pull up their own progress by quitting too soon. The truth is, growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. This is where patience and faith work hand in hand. You have to believe that the process is working, even when the results are still beneath the surface. And that belief isn't blind, it's built on a commitment to follow through with the actions you know lead to success. If you've done the research, if you've modeled proven strategies, if you've shown up consistently, then your results are not a matter of if, they are a matter of when. Faith gives you the strength to keep going until when arrives. Faith in the process also means refusing to let temporary setbacks define the outcome. You might have weeks where you slip, where you miss targets, where life gets in the way. That doesn't mean the plan has failed. It means you're human. The difference between those who finish and those who quit is simple. The finishers keep going despite the setbacks. They understand that a bad day doesn't cancel a good goal. They don't throw away the entire plan because of one missed step. They adjust, refocus, and keep moving. One way to strengthen your faith is to track your progress, even in small ways. Write down your wins, no matter how small they seem. Did you stick to your schedule today? That's a win. Did you resist a distraction that would have cost you hours? That's a win. Did you improve even slightly compared to last week? That's progress. Seeing these little victories stack up gives you proof that the process is working, which fuels your belief to keep going. And here's something powerful to remember. Faith in the process is really faith in yourself. It's the decision to believe that you are capable of following through, that you are worthy of the outcome, and that you are strong enough to handle the challenges along the way. Because the truth is, the process will test you. It will ask you to push when you want to rest. It will ask you to trust when you feel uncertain. But every time you choose faith over doubt, you strengthen not only your journey, but also your character. C.L. Bride and EJUST, one of the most overlooked parts of a successful 6-month transformation is the practice of stopping to celebrate your progress along the way. Too many people believe they can only celebrate when the final goal is achieved, but that mindset robs you of the energy, motivation, and joy that fuel long-term success. Celebration isn't just about feeling good, it's a strategy. It recharges your emotional batteries, reinforces your commitment, and reminds you why you started in the first place. Without it, the journey can feel like an endless grind, and that's when burnout creeps in. Celebration doesn't have to be grand or expensive. It can be as simple as acknowledging your effort at the end of the week, writing down what you accomplished, or treating yourself to something small that brings you joy. The key is to be intentional about it. Every time you pause to recognize progress, you signal to your mind, this is working. And when your mind believes it's working, it becomes easier to keep going. This is not just emotional fluff. Psychology tells us that rewarding yourself strengthens the habit loop. making it more likely you'll repeat the behavior that got you the win in the first place. But celebration does something even more powerful. It shifts your focus from what you haven't yet achieved to what you have achieved. So many people quit not because they aren't making progress, but because they only measure themselves against the finish line. When you only look at how far you have to go, the journey feels endless. But when you turn around and look at how far you've already come, you gain perspective. You start to realize that even small steps compounded over time create massive change. Now, just as important as celebration is the willingness to adjust. A 6-month plan is not carved in stone, it's a living strategy. You will start with certain ideas, but as you move forward, you'll learn more about yourself, your habits, and the challenges of your goal. Some of your original methods will work beautifully, others won't work at all. Adjustment is not failure, it's refinement. It's the process of fine-tuning your approach so that every step becomes more effective than the last. Think of a pilot flying from one city to another. Even with a set flight path, small adjustments are constantly made to account for wind, weather, and air traffic. Without those adjustments, the plane could end up hundreds of miles off course. Your 6-month journey works the same way. You stay on track by regularly checking your progress and making necessary changes. This might mean shifting your schedule to better fit your energy levels, changing the order of your priorities, or replacing a tactic that isn't delivering results. The key is to evaluate honestly. Once a week or once a month, review your progress with a clear eye. Ask yourself, what is working well? What needs improvement? What should I stop doing? This kind of reflection keeps you from drifting into ineffective patterns that waste your time. And just as importantly, it reminds you that you are in control of your process. You are not a passenger in this journey. You are the captain, making real-time decisions to steer toward your destination. When you combine celebration with adjustment, something powerful happens. You stay emotionally fueled because you're acknowledging your wins, and you stay strategically sharp because you're improving your approach. It's the balance between joy and wisdom, between gratitude for how far you've come and determination to go even further. This rhythm keeps your momentum alive for the full 6 months, instead of letting it fade after the first burst of motivation. Every time you celebrate, you're telling yourself, I am making progress. Every time you adjust, you're telling yourself, I am getting smarter about how I move forward. Together, these habits create a cycle of growth that becomes unstoppable, not because you never face challenges, but because you have built the resilience, awareness, and flexibility to handle them while staying inspired. Every great transformation begins with a decision, but it is sustained by consistent action, unwavering focus, and the courage to keep moving forward even when the path feels uncertain. These past months, every step you've taken, every adjustment you've made, and every small victory you've celebrated has been shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you were before. And here's the truth. Your growth is not just about reaching a goal. It's about becoming the kind of person who can achieve any goal at any time. 6 months may have been your starting framework, but the habits you've built and the mindset you've developed are not bound by a calendar. They are the foundation for the rest of your life. From here on, challenges will not intimidate you because you've proven to yourself that with patience, strategy, and persistence, you can overcome them. Opportunities will no longer feel out of reach because you've trained yourself to move with clarity, purpose, and belief in your own abilities. So as you stand here today, don't just look at what you've accomplished, look at who you have become. You are no longer waiting for the right time because you have learned to create the right time. You are no longer chasing motivation because you have built the discipline to act even when motivation fades. And you are no longer measuring yourself against what others have done because you now understand that your path, your pace, and your purpose are uniquely your own. Remember this, the journey never ends. There will always be new heights to climb, new skills to master, and new dreams to chase. But you now carry within you the unshakable truth that you are capable, you are worthy, and you are prepared. Let this not be the end of your growth, but the beginning of a lifelong habit of aiming higher, working smarter, and living with a fire that cannot be put out. The next chapter is waiting, and it's yours to write.